My friends, here we are in Medellin, the drug capital of Colombia, and maybe even the whole world. The city of Pablo Escobar. Until recently, foreigners were afraid to even poke their noses anywhere near here, and now they're moving en masse. Today we're going to find out why this will be Colombia, shown in a way that I guarantee you have never seen before. So let's go!
Four, 3, 2 in the morning. Yeah, I'm still up, you're boring. Life keeps getting better and better, and I'm not stressed, I'm snoring. It'll get messy, get gory.
Welcome to Pablo Escobar's neighborhood.
Guys, we've arrived in the neighborhood that was built with money that Pablo Escobar allocated himself. This area was essentially made up of massive garbage dumps, landfills, and there were a lot of people who lived in these dumps. And Pablo Escobar basically, with drug money, decided to give housing to these people. We are in Medellin, Colombia, the capital of the Antioquia region, and the city became famous all around the world, all thanks to the efforts of this man, Pablo Escobar, drug trafficker, founder of the Medellin cartel, and, in general, just an awful man. In the slums that I came to visit, he is respectfully called El Patron, or even Narco Robin Hood. We are walking through the neighborhood with the local resident named Luisa and with her friends because it is better for tourists not to walk around by themselves.
So all of this, everything you see around you, all of this belonged to Pablo Escobar. The people who lived here were garbage sorters of Medellin, you know, and then he came in and then he built houses for everyone here. And so everything that you see around you, it only exists because of him now.
This neighborhood is called the Slums of Escobar. It's where the drug trafficker built a whole network of houses on a garbage dump and gave them out for free, something people still revere him for. Everywhere you go, you'll see graffiti of his face, and there are pictures of him in most stores and houses that you visit. And there is even a sort of chapel that is named after Escobar and the hitmen who worked for him.
Look here. This is Pablo Escobar. Gustavo.
Gustavo Gaviria.
This is his partner and hitman.
If you come in here, you will see a kind of shrine to Pablo Escobar. Every single wall of this room is dedicated to him. Escobar on a boat, Escobar sitting with a child, jet skiing on a river, performing here, news clippings and various notes about Escobar. Here's an almost lifelike Escobar, an Escobar on a $100 banknote. And this is an altar to Pablo Escobar. Over here we have a picture of him. And this is the neighborhood that he built, isn't it? That's what the pictures are of, right?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Look at this, guys. These pictures show us how these houses originally looked when they were built. They were neat little one-story houses that stood one next to the other.
Everyone in this area is still grateful to him. People still respect him a lot because of what he did. He improved so many lives. If it wasn't for him, these people wouldn't have had anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's why they're grateful to Pablo.
But he was a drug dealer.
Yeah, but you know, when I say that we have respect and we're grateful to him, that doesn't mean we like the way he made his money. Respect and gratitude, that's it.
Uh-huh. And what do you think about the war that started because of him?
The war.
Yeah, that one.
The war of 80s and 90s. It was the worst thing that ever happened, so...
Yeah?
Yeah.
But it only started because of him. He was the one who started it.
Yeah.
Is that not what happened?
There are, like, two sides. There are people who Pablo Escobar helped, and there are those he killed. Yeah.
And if you go up there, you'll find a platform where he would have had people executed, and then around it were these pits where he would bury those who stood against them, so only their heads would stick out. And he tortured them. If you want, we can go up there and have a look around.
Can we go see it?
It is quite far.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Of course we
How
can.
far? Can we make it?
Yes, follow me.
We are making our way through Escobar's slums. As all of you can see here, The angle of these roads is incredible. I mean, look at this, guys. It's practically a vertical ascent. The cars mostly crawl down it like that, but the motorcycles race along. Climbing it is really hard. This is a proper mountain here. We have officially reached the end of the developed part of this area. And now we have these makeshift houses that are mostly made of plywood and any other materials that these people find lying around. See here? It's made of tin. And we keep on going higher. So, as you can see, there's no more asphalt. The roads around here are just made of earth.
We need to get permission.
Okay. We're busy negotiating, and they might agree, but we don't know if they'll let us into these slums. I guess we just need to give it time. And then, after a few minutes of conversation, we're finally allowed through. They let us come through to the very top of the favela. And just look, the sun is setting, and look what it's doing to the view. Just look how picturesque this all is. Just let your eyes drink that in. Beautiful. That is a truly incredible sight.
It's the best view in the world. Really, the best view in the world.
And literally a dozen steps later, we found ourselves practically in the jungle. Tall trees all around, lots of grass, and all this without leaving Medellin.
Medellin is a city of eternal spring. Yeah. It's always spring here. Look at this beauty. This is how it always is. Don't you think the weather's perfect? We have the best climate in the world and it never changes. I mean, just look at that. It only ever gets more beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Yeah?
Yeah. You know, guys, this really is a beautiful place. Mountains, city lights, and the sunset. As it goes behind the mountains, which, as if nature is an artist, has painted the sky in a truly beautiful, beautiful, beautiful red. It's incredibly beautiful. It's always been amazing that such terrible things happened in a place as beautiful as this.
When Escobar was fighting the authorities, this was the place. His men brought the people they kidnapped, and they were tortured here. They'd be put in pits, and the pits were really deep, and they would be covered up to their necks in shit, and then they were beaten in the hopes that they might actually talk. This was their secret little spot. This place was closed off. No one from the outside was allowed to come here, like a personal farm.
Yes, it was exactly like a farm, and he had pigs here, and people say he would feed them human flesh.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he fed them human meat. It's true.
Most of the houses in this area have remained illegal for a few decades. On top of the first floors, built with money from Escobar, there are already second and third floors. But since the 80s, no one has given official permission for these developments. Tell me, if you want to build like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors on top of the first, is there anyone that you'd have to go to and ask for permission first?
No, you don't have to ask anyone. It's all illegal.
Everything is illegal.
Illegal. Mm-hmm.
So if you have money, build what you want.
If you have money, you can do whatever you want. It's all illegal. There are a lot of houses here that don't officially exist.
Uh-huh.
Most of this area is registered in Pablo Escobar's name, and this is all her land.
Turns out this is a real multi-story building. The amazing thing is that it hasn't collapsed because it was not a professional job in any way. People built it by hand. They didn't have any permits, and they definitely didn't have any actual calculations. The people who built it would have had no idea if the foundations would actually be able to support the additional stories. And it's the same with this building over here. You can see the first floor, and above it there are a second and third floor. Officially, all these houses, these buildings, are still just buildings on Escobar's land. The only time people ever officially register them is when they want to sell them, and only sometimes. Is it true that those who live here don't have to pay for electricity or water?
At the moment, both yes and no. I mean, it still happens quite often, but now people are starting to re-register everything in their own names now, you see. For a long time, there was just one document in Pablo Escobar's wife's name. She owned everything and paid for everything, so they took all of this and they split it up amongst the people. everybody got a plot. The houses were all in these rows and everyone got one for themselves. But you see, these days, if a person now wants to sell their house and move from here, then in order to sell it all, they are going to need to register it and then pay for water and sewage and everything else. But if you don't sell, then you don't need to pay.
The ground floors of buildings are often turned into shops or cafes or other businesses. For example, hairdressers. So the ground floors are reserved for business, and then people live on the second, third, and fourth floors above. Just look how many businesses there are here. Over here we have a billiards hall, and next to it there's a small store. On the other side is a restaurant. Then here is another restaurant and another store. Often these little houses look much better on the inside than they do on the outside. Louisa is taking us to visit a friend of hers. Alright my friends, so this is one of the houses that Escobar gave to people of this town, just so that you can get an idea of what they look like inside. There's a dog. Now let's go. Hello. Hello. I have to say, the apartment looks decent on the inside. It doesn't look like it belongs in a slum. I mean, just look at this. This is a great kitchen. There's a big plasma TV on the wall. As you can see, there's a fairly big kitchen and a nice living room down this way. And a little bit further is the balcony. We're up on the second floor. And if I understand this properly, this was built onto the original building that was given when Escobar was developing the area.
And there's another floor up there.
There's another floor, yeah? There's another floor in this building, and just take a look at that. You can see Medellin. All lit up. Oh, there's a veranda up here, guys, and it gives us an absolutely incredible view of the city. And of course, the camera can't completely convey this, but it's incredibly beautiful. And if we come over here, there's what looks like an inner courtyard. And here, a bedroom, the toilet over here, and over here it looks just like a general zone. But overall, it's a pretty open space. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
I don't associate, no, we can congregate, focus like number 8. My is infinite, move out the trauma, my therapist healing it.
30 in a clip, drop 100 on his zip. All I see is blue faces, you would thought I was a...
I guess we should start here.
Okay, but tell us where we are.
Sure. Today we've come to see the 13th Commune, and the 13th Commune is a conflict-ridden zone.
Emil brought us to what was once the most dangerous slum in Medellin. They're called communes here, and Commune 13 was a really big outpost for the drug trade, which really flourished here. It was a place where criminals could easily hide, and the police tried to raid it dozens of times, but without any luck at all.
The thing is, after Escobar died, the situation around here became even worse, and that's because there were a lot of pretenders to his throne, and it led to an intercartel war. And so, even within Commune 13, especially in this quarter, even in this quarter, there were frequent clashes between the different sides.
Is it still dangerous?
No. When it comes to things like pickpocketing, that doesn't really exist. And if you look around, you'll see lots of people walking around on their own. You can tell from the amount of tourists. You can see how the tourism industry has exploded in this area. It became very clear to me after coming from 20 years in Barcelona. People that come from all over the world, and that is something that's very interesting to me. You can see how the city is changing. The presence of these people has changed the energy of the place.
Emil moved from Spain to live in Medellin with his family many years ago, and he says that what struck him the most was the countless persistent rumors about how dangerous Colombia is, especially in cities like Cali. Colombia is often considered a very dangerous country, especially in cities like Cali, the home of the Cali cartel.
Drug cartels are terrorizing Colombia. This is a story of poverty and inequality in Pablo Escobar's birthplace.
Every single day, people die here.
Medellin, the town that I am in, was the capital of the Medellin cartel and the birthplace of Pablo Escobar. But I have to ask, is Colombia really dangerous? Comparing the crime statistics between two countries is not an easy thing to do because something that is considered a crime in one country might not be considered one in another country. It won't be counted in the statistics. For instance, in Los Angeles, you can steal $950 and it won't be thought of as a crime, but an administrative offense will. And here in Colombia, that would be a genuine crime. But there's one parameter that's truly objective, and that is the number of murders. The number of murders per 100,000 people, because at the end of the day, murder is murder. So now, right here in Medellin, a very dangerous city in Colombia, the number is more than 15 murders per 100,000 people every year. For comparison, in the capital of Switzerland, Zurich, in 2023, according to official statistics, 54 people were killed, and this adds up to about 12 people per 100,000, close to Medellin. In London, according to statistics, they kill more than 13 per 100,000 people every year, even closer to Medellin. And in the capital of France, Paris, they kill more than 18 people per 100,000. That is what the statistics say, and that number is higher than in Medellin. Then, in the capital of America, Washington, that number was recorded as more than 2.5 dozen people per 100,000 citizens. That number is significantly higher than what it is in Medellin. And, what if we go to a city in the north of America, St. Louis? Every single year, they kill more than 60 people per 100,000, and that number is 4 times higher than the number of murders in Medellin. So what I'm taking from this is that when you take a trip to Paris and spend some time in the Louvre, for example, you are exposing yourself to a higher chance of being murdered than if you walk around Medellin. Or if you go to Washington and spend some time at the Air and Space Museum, or maybe go to spend time at the Lincoln Monument, then you are definitely putting yourself in a lot more danger than if you take a nice stroll through the streets of Medellin. And this is not even mentioning the idea of taking a tour to see the Great Lakes of America, or taking a trip to the north to visit the city of St. Louis, or maybe going to Chicago, or going to Detroit, where you simply will put yourself in significantly more dangerous situations than coming on a trip here to Medellin. But the fact of the matter is, stereotypes always say something else. Listen, I heard about something here. I think they're called Estrada.
Yeah, Estrada, yeah.
Estrado is a purely Colombian invention. Every residence is assigned with a level, also known as estrado. The first level is called Bajo Bajo, and that's basically the poorest level. And on the other end of the scale, you get level 6. And all your payments for gas, power, water, internet, and so on depends on your estrada. And the amounts people have to pay at the different levels differ a lot. Explain
for example, this area is Strato 2 or 3, and that's because they have electricity, sewage, and water. They have access to the basics. And then, if you look over that way, you'll see some favelas up on the mountain, and these residents are all Strato 1, and they're classified as that because they don't have a central water supply or sewage. They don't have access to the basics, so they're the lowest level. One level higher, we have these brick buildings. They don't have any windows. These houses are classified as Strato 2. And when you have houses that are painted, they're one level better than 2. So to identify which houses are level 3, you're looking for houses that are painted. They always have electricity, gas, and water, although this gas usually comes in canisters. However, you'll never see Strato 2 and Strato 4 houses together. 2 and 4 are just too far apart from each other. The gap is just too big for them to exist together. By the way, there's a very interesting startup that some guys started in the lowest stratos. Basically, these guys got together and they... Damn. One thing about this area, all you ever hear are motorcycles going up and down the hills. Here comes another one. Well, I forgot what I was talking about now.
You were talking about a startup that some guys started?
Yes, so basically these guys got together and opened an internet company, and they offer the cheapest internet in the area. In a year, they got 500,000 clients.
Whoa! Okay, but here, in an area that's a Strato 2 or 3, why are there so many motorcyclists? This area is a Strato 2 or 3, but here houses still cost tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. So if it's on such a low level, why is it so expensive?
Hundreds of thousands,
Is it because this area is so geared towards tourists? Am I right?
Well, the thing with the tourist economy is that nobody actually makes any money because everything is actually owned by a few people who are exploiting everybody else.
Well, yeah, and then those people actually end up paying less for electricity than everybody else. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course. That's
and the whole time they're making a lot of money from the favelas and from Hello. So as I was saying, there are people who make a lot of money, but they don't pay their staff anything because they think these people live in the slums where everything is so cheap, so they don't have to pay them anything.
Oh, yeah.
They can get by.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Estrados were invented to alleviate some of the pressure on the poor, to even out the gap between rich and poor, which is so big in South America, and it turns out that the rich actually contribute to the utility bills of the poor. So how much would an apartment in that building cost?
Oh, easily 150 million pesos.
There was a time back in the day, it was only about 30 to 40 million pesos, but now everything around here is so expensive.
Really?
They set whatever prices they want.
Other people set the prices?
Yeah, only they can afford them, so they buy them.
Uh-huh. And if I wanted to rent a single room here, just for a month or 2 months, how would they charge
Just for
me?
a month or two. Well, I think that will cost you 1 million pesos.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be 1 million for a room.
1 million just to rent?
For one room, but that's cause it will be a good spot.
All right. What do you associate with the word Colombia? Let me know. Medellin is known as a city where it's spring all the time, where it's warm the whole year round. It is the city of dancing and of fun, but also a city hiding a terrible history, a city of close relationships, and a city of incredible contrast between the poor and the wealthy. So it's no wonder that they say Medellin is the best.